Recently, I found out my wife was cheating on me. It wasn't something I ever expected, and the way I found out made it even worse. I had been away on a work trip, and I ended up coming home a little earlier than I originally planned. It was raining really hard that day, so I called my adult son and asked him to pick me up from the airport. I didn't tell my wife I was coming home early. I wanted it to be a sweet surprise. In fact, I even stopped on the way and bought her some flowers just to see her smile when I walked through the door. I was actually looking forward to seeing the look on her face. When we finally got to the house, my son grabbed some of my bags to help carry them inside. I let him handle that while I quietly went upstairs, excited to surprise my wife. But what I saw when I got up there, I never could have prepared myself for it. When I got upstairs, I headed straight to our bedroom, expecting to find my wife, maybe reading, watching TV. Instead, what I walked into was something I'll never forget. I heard the shower running, which wasn't strange at first, but then I noticed something was off. There were two voices. I opened the bathroom door and there she was, in the shower with another man. For a few seconds, I just stood there frozen. It felt like time stopped. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My heart dropped. My stomach turned. I thought I might be dreaming, or maybe I'd walked into the wrong room. But no, it was real. It was our bathroom, our home, my wife, with someone else. I finally managed to speak. I don't even remember exactly what I said. Probably just something like, "What the hell's going on?" What shocked me even more was the guy's reaction. He didn't even look surprised. No panic, no guilt. He just stood there like he belonged there. Like he had every right to be in my house, in my shower, with my wife. My wife, on the other hand, looked like she'd seen a ghost. Her eyes went wide and she immediately tried to cover herself and started blurting out excuses. She stammered something about not knowing I was coming home, that this wasn't what it looked like, that it didn't mean anything. She begged me to calm down, to let her explain. By this point, I wasn't thinking clearly anymore. I was seeing red, pure rage. All the pain, betrayal, and shock boiled over at once. I lost control. Without even thinking, I lunged at the guy. He was younger than me, maybe fitter in some ways, but I'm a much bigger man, and the anger gave me strength I didn't realize I had. I got in several punches, hard ones, right to his face. He barely had time to react. I just kept hitting him. I didn't care what he had to say or who he was. At that moment, I just wanted to hurt him for what he had done, what they had done. My wife started screaming, crying, begging me to stop, but her voice barely registered. I couldn't hear anything but my own fury pounding in my ears. Then I heard footsteps, heavy and fast. My son came running up the stairs after hearing the yelling and the chaos. When he saw what was happening, me on top of this bloodied man, fists clenched, breathing like a bull, his face went pale. He rushed over and grabbed me, trying to pull me back. "Dad, stop! Please stop!" he yelled, struggling to hold me back. He had never seen me like this before. No one had. But I wasn't myself. I was a man broken, betrayed, and filled with the kind of pain that turns into something dangerous. My hands were shaking, my heart racing, and I was still trying to process that the woman I loved had let someone else into our home, into our bed. Right after my son pulled me away, my wife took out her phone and called 911. I was still shaking with anger and hurt, but suddenly the situation took a sharp turn. When the police arrived, my wife immediately started telling them her side of the story. She described me as violent and crazy, Trying to make it seem like I was the one causing trouble, she was quick to paint me as the bad guy. But I stayed calm. I told the officers exactly what had happened. I explained how I had just found her in the shower with another man. I told them how any husband in my place would feel angry and hurt. I was honest, trying to be as calm as I could, even though inside I was a mess. But then, to my shock, the man she was with, her cowardly affair partner, decided to press charges against me. Despite everything I'd just been through, he claimed I was the one who caused the violence. Before I could even process what was happening, the officers arrested me right there on the spot. It felt surreal. I was the one betrayed, but suddenly I was the one being treated like a criminal. I stayed in jail for a while until my sister came to bail me out. At first, she didn't know why I was there. When I finally told her everything, the cheating, the fight, the arrest, she got really angry too. She couldn't believe what had happened to me. We went back to the house and discovered that my wife had changed the locks on my door. And that's right. After everything, she decided to lock me out of my own home. She literally changed the lock so I couldn't get inside. At first, I was shocked. But I wasn't going to let her keep me out, so I broke down the door and got inside. My wife again tried to call 911 when I was inside the house. This time I was ready, so I told her, "Go ahead and call," because I knew the police had no right to force me out of my own home. Then I looked at her and said firmly, "Pack your things and get out of this house." My wife yelled back at me saying, "This is my house. I am not going anywhere." And that's when my sister stepped in. She didn't hold back at all. She said, "Oh, really? This is your house? Because I don't remember you paying the mortgage. My brother bought this house years before he even met you. The house is in his name, and don't forget, you both have a prenup. So by the law of our state, you don't own a thing." My sister's voice got sharper as she continued. "If I were you, I'd pack up and get the hell out of here before my brother and I decide to burn down the many, many things he's given to you over the years. Because they all rightfully belong to him, you blood-sucking gold digger." My wife stood there completely stunned. She looked like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. Deep down, she knew my sister was right. There wasn't anything she could say to change the facts. Eventually, still red-faced and fuming, she started packing up her things. She didn't say much, just grabbed her stuff and left. I watched her walk out of the house we once shared, and even though I was angry, there was this heavy, empty feeling in my chest. So much had changed in just a single day. A few hours later, my phone started ringing again and again. It was my son. I figured my wife must have gone straight to him for help, probably playing the victim card, telling her version of the story. When I finally picked up, he was furious. He didn't ask what happened. He just started yelling at me, demanding to know why I had kicked Mom out and how I could do that to her. He lives with his wife, who's pregnant right now. I was completely taken aback. My son had been there. He had seen it all with his own eyes. He saw what his mother had done. He saw the man she was with. He saw me get arrested. So to hear him come at me like I was the one who had done something wrong, it hit me hard. I asked him, "Where were you when I got arrested? Why didn't you speak up for me? Why didn't you help me?" He got defensive and said something like, "Mom was a mess because of what you did. I was busy taking care of her." That's when I just snapped, not with anger, but with finality. And I told him, "If that's how you see it, then you can keep taking care of her. I'm done. She's not my responsibility anymore. She wanted to run around behind my back, so let her keep doing that from your house. Let her sleep around wherever she wants. I'm done taking care of someone who treated me like trash." I meant every word I said. I had given everything I had to that woman. Love, loyalty, a home, stability. She threw it all away. Now she could deal with the consequences without me. That's when my son started in with the lecture. He said things like, "Dad, she made a mistake," and "I'm sure she didn't really mean it." He was clearly trying to smooth things over, to make this all seem like something that could just be forgiven and forgotten. I stopped him right there and I asked him point blank, "What would you do if you walked in and found your wife in the shower with another man?" He went completely silent. He had no answer because he knew. He knew exactly how that would feel. He knew it would tear him apart the same way it did to me. And yet here he was trying to convince me to let it go. I told him straight out, instead of trying to talk me down, "You should be holding your mother accountable for this mess." I gave her everything she ever asked for. Love, security, a home, a future. She threw it all away. She didn't just betray me. She broke this family. This is on her. Since then, my son hasn't given up. He keeps calling, texting, begging me to forgive her, to take her back. He keeps trying to patch things up as if this is just a rough patch and not the complete betrayal it is. But I've stood my ground. I've refused. I'm not going to spend another minute pretending things can go back to the way they were. Some lines once crossed can't be erased. And this, what she did, this was one of them. Right now, I've been speaking with a lawyer. I'm trying to figure out the next steps legally because after everything that's happened, I can't just sit around hoping things will fix themselves. I need to protect myself, my home, my future, my peace of mind. But when my son found out, he lost it again. He was furious. He was accusing me of giving up on our family too easily. He said things like, "Real men fight for their family," and that I was just taking the easy way out. Hearing that from my own son was like getting hit with another punch, this time straight to the heart. I wanted to scream, but instead I stayed calm and told him, "This isn't easy. Nothing about this is easy. Do you think walking away from someone I loved, someone I built a life with, is simple? Do you think talking to lawyers and sorting through the ashes of what used to be a family is something I want to do?" I told him the truth. Fighting for a family means protecting it from being torn apart. I did that for years. But your mother made a choice, a selfish, reckless, and painful choice. Now I'm making mine. I'm not walking away because it's easy. I'm walking away because I finally have to. However, my son is not ready to understand, so Reddit, AITA for leaving my cheating wife? Update 1. I just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone for the outpouring of support. I've received a lot of messages, and it means a lot to me to know that people care, especially as I go through such a painful time. This has been one of the hardest experiences of my life, and having others reach out to check in or offer advice has made me feel less alone in this. I want to address a few things here. 1. Am I doing okay? Honestly, I'm taking it day by day. There are good moments and bad moments. Some days I feel like I'm moving forward, and other days it hits me all over again. Especially when I talk to my son about what's happened. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. 2. What's the situation with my wife? As I mentioned before, she's no longer in the house. She left after everything went down, and I'm trying to focus on what's best for me from here on out. We're not talking right now. I've been in touch with a lawyer to explore my options and figure out what's next. 3. Did I have any idea my wife was cheating before I caught her? No, I had no clue. There were no obvious signs, not that I saw. If anything, I thought we were doing okay. We had our usual ups and downs like any couple, but I never imagined something like this. That's part of what made it such a brutal shock. I came home early to surprise her with flowers. I was thinking of making her smile, and instead I walked into a nightmare. 4. Was this her first time cheating? That's something I'm still trying to figure out. She claims it didn't mean anything and that it was just a mistake, but I don't buy that. The way the guy was acting, comfortable, like he belonged there, it didn't feel like a one-time thing. I honestly don't know how long it had been going on for, and she hasn't given me real answers. I'm working with my lawyer to protect myself, either way. 5. Why didn't I try to talk it out with her? After what I saw, there was no talking. When someone crosses a line like that, especially in your own home, in your own shower, it stops being about communication and starts being about boundaries, respect, and self-worth. I gave her everything. Talking would have come before she did what she did, not after. 6. What about the man she was with? Do I know him? No, I didn't know him. I've never seen him before in my life. He didn't even look guilty or ashamed. He just acted like he belonged in my house. That honestly made it worse. I don't know if they were involved for a while or if this guy was just one of many. That's not my concern anymore. 7. How's my son handling all of this? My son's understandably upset and hurt. He feels torn between me and his mother, and he's still holding on to hope that things can go back to the way they were. We've had some tough conversations, and I know he's struggling with everything. I love him and want what's best for him, but I can't sacrifice my own peace just to try to fix things that are beyond repair. 8. Am I considering reconciliation? Right now, no. I am not considering reconciliation. What happened between my wife and I has changed everything. Trust was broken in a way I don't think can be fixed. I'm focused on taking care of myself emotionally and legally. 9. Why is my son defending his mother so strongly? My son has always been closer to his mother than me. Their bond has been strong for as long as I can remember. Sometimes maybe a little too close. Even his own wife has pointed it out before. She's mentioned more than once how my wife could be overly involved in their lives to the point of being too interfering. In fact, it's caused quite a few arguments between my wife and daughter-in-law over the years. A lot of tension, actually. But no matter what, my son has always taken his mother's side, so it doesn't completely surprise me that he's defending her now, even though I wish he'd take a step back and look at the full picture. Update 2. Guys, something major has happened. It's honestly been one of the hardest parts of this whole nightmare. Right now, my wife and I are fighting things out in court. We have a prenuptial agreement in place, but despite that, she's still trying to go after my assets. She's challenging parts of the prenup and making claims she knows aren't fair or true. It's a fight I never wanted, but one I'm forced into because she won't take responsibility for what she did. And now, the part that really cuts deep. My son has completely taken her side. I kind of expected that he'd try to support her in some way. She's his mother after all, but nothing could have prepared me for what he actually did. In court, he gave false testimony against me. He stood there and said things that weren't true, trying to paint me as the villain. It broke me. This isn't just about betrayal from a spouse anymore. This is betrayal from my own flesh and blood, someone I raised, supported, and stood by his entire life. For him to sit in that courtroom and twist the truth, knowing what really happened, is something I'll never forget, or maybe never fully forgive. It's like losing two people at once. I'm almost certain this is my wife's doing. She's twisted the narrative to make herself look like the victim. And now my son thinks he's helping her by lying. In his mind, he probably believes he's protecting her from going broke or being left with nothing. So to him, lying in court somehow feels justified. He's made some pretty harsh accusations lately. He's claimed that I've financially abused his mother over the years, that I controlled all the money and that I never gave her access to credit cards or accounts. None of that is true. The truth is, I provided for our family without hesitation. I made sure she had everything she needed and more. I paid the bills, covered expenses, gave her a home, stability, and comfort. Just because I was the one managing the finances doesn't mean I was controlling or abusive. It means I was being responsible, especially since the house and most of our assets were things I built up long before she even came into the picture. On top of everything else, during his testimony, my son actually tried to defend his mother's cheating. He told the court that she was unhappy with me for a long time, and that's why she did what she did. He has said things like, maybe that's why she cheated, trying to make it sound like some kind of excuse or justification. Then, as if that wasn't enough, he said I overreacted when I kicked her out of the house. Hearing him say those things was like a punch to the gut. It hurt more than anything else because it felt like he was rewriting the story to make me look like the bad guy and her the victim. But I know the truth. I know how much I have given to make my marriage work. I know how much I've given to this family. I know that betrayal didn't come from me. It came from my wife. No matter what my son says, no one can erase that. Luckily, my lawyer was prepared with plenty of proof to show I've never abused my wife and that I've always provided for my family. We brought out bank statements, credit card records that clearly showed I paid for everything. Mortgage, utilities, groceries, medical bills, you name it. Every important expense for our family came from me. I never held back when it came to making sure we had what we needed. My lawyer also presented testimonies from friends and family members who've known me for years and could vouch for my character. They spoke about how I've always been supportive and respectful, never violent or controlling. On top of that, we showed messages and emails where I was always trying to work things out calmly and thoughtfully. Proof that I wasn't the angry or abusive one my wife tried to make me out to be. We also had proof of the house ownership. The deed was in my name, and I'd been paying the mortgage and property taxes long before she even came into the picture. My bank account statements and transaction records also indicated that my wife has always been spending more money left and right on her personal expenses, using my cards without permission. She had been cheating on me for the past 8 months because she used my credit card to pay for motel rooms where she met up with her lover. I never suspected a thing because I trusted her completely. I never thought I needed to check my bank statements or question anything. She also used my card to pay for that man's gym membership, and she bought him expensive gifts all on my dime. All this evidence painted a very different picture from the one my wife and son tried to show in court. It showed the truth. I did everything I could to build and support this family, and I never abused anyone. The court hasn't made a decision yet, but I really hope the ruling goes in my favor. I've always tried to be a good man to my family and a good father to my son. Over the years, I worked incredibly hard to provide everything my wife and son could ever need. Now, after all that has happened, the betrayal, the lies, the disrespect, I don't want to give them a single penny more. I've done my part. I gave my love, my time, and my resources. Now it's time for me to look out for myself and move forward with my life. Update 3. I won. The court ruled in my favor. The divorce is final and my ex is officially getting nothing. After everything she did, lying, cheating, using my money to fund her affair, and after dragging me through a bitter legal battle, justice was finally served. Sweet, sweet justice. My son and ex are furious. This outcome was not what they expected. They thought that by playing the victim, twisting the truth, and giving false testimony, they could take everything from me, but it backfired. The judge saw right through the lies, and thank God for my lawyer. He fought hard, presented every shred of evidence, and made sure the truth came out in court. They tried to destroy my life, my reputation, and my future, but they failed. Now that I'm finally out of this mess and the court battle is over, I made the decision to share my side of the story publicly on Facebook. For months, my ex and my son have been talking behind my back. They've spread lies and half-truths to our family, friends, and anyone who would listen. They never told people the real reason I left my ex-wife. They never mentioned her affair or how deeply I was hurt by her betrayal. Instead, they painted me as the bad guy. They said things that weren't true. Things meant to make me look like I just walked away from my family for no reason. I stayed quiet through all of it. I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself publicly even though I wanted to. I kept my head down and focused on the legal process, hoping the truth would eventually come out. Now that the court has ruled in my favor, now that the truth has come out, I decided I wasn't going to stay silent any longer. So I wrote a post on Facebook and I told the truth. I explained what really happened, how my wife had been cheating on me for 8 months, how she used my money to support another man, and how my own son chose to stand by her even knowing all of that. I didn't write it out of anger. I wrote it because people deserve to know the real story, not just the lies they've been fed. I wanted to clear my name and take back my voice. Suffice it to say, the post I made really hit a nerve. The comments have been flooding in, and most people aren't holding back. My ex and my son are getting absolutely dragged in the replies. People are calling them out for what they did, and finally, the truth is out in the open. Of course, my ex tried to reach out to me after that. She called, messaged, tried every way to get through, but I blocked her. I have nothing left to say to her. She made her choices. She lied, she cheated, she tried to ruin me, and now she's just facing the consequences of her actions. As for my son, he's been leaving me voicemails practically begging me to take the post down. Not because he suddenly feels guilty, but because everything is falling apart for him now. Turns out his wife had no idea about the real reason I left his mother. She had believed whatever story he and my ex had fed her, that I was somehow the one at fault, that I gave up on the marriage for no reason. She didn't know about the cheating, the lies, the money my ex spent on her affair partner. But after my post went up, everything came to light, and she saw it, read through the comments, confronted my son. When he finally admitted the truth that his mother had been unfaithful and he knew the whole time, she was furious. She told both him and his mother to get out. Turns out she can't trust my son anymore after he hid such vital information from her for months and let his cheating mother stay with them for free, pretending everything was fine. And honestly, who could blame her? Now my son's marriage is in serious trouble, all because he tried to protect a lie instead of standing by the truth. Instead of finally taking full responsibility for his actions, he's again blaming me. He's been calling and leaving voice messages begging me to help him smooth things over with his wife. He wants me to talk to her and somehow fix the mess he created. I refused. I told him the truth. Words I've been holding back for a long time. I said to him, "You're exactly your mother's son, a liar and a backstabber. I want nothing to do with you anymore." I meant every word. After everything he's done, standing by his mother's side as she betrayed me, lying in court, giving false testimony, turning against me, and he now wants my help? No, I'm done. I've blocked him since then. I don't want to hear from him, and I no longer care about fixing anything with him. He made his choices, and now he has to live with the consequences just like his mother. I gave everything I had to that family, my love, my effort, my money, my years. All I got in return was betrayal. So now I'm done. I'm moving forward. And for the first time in a long while, I'm doing it for me. Update 4. It's been 2 months since my last update, and I wasn't planning to write again, but something happened that I think is worth sharing. Out of the blue, my ex reached out to me again, and she used a different phone number this time, probably because I've had her original number blocked ever since the divorce was finalized. At first, I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity got the better of me and I answered. Turns out things have gone downhill fast for both her and my son. Apparently, my son's marriage is hanging by a thread. He and his wife have been fighting constantly ever since the truth about his mother came out. His wife gave him a final ultimatum: either cut off all contact with his mother permanently or she's filing for divorce. She told him point blank that if he doesn't make a choice, she will, and she's ready to walk away with their child if she has to. So after dragging this out for weeks, my son finally made a decision. He chose his wife and his child. He cut his mother off completely. No calls, no visits, no help, nothing. He's done with her. Now my ex is all alone. No son, no support system, and that's why she called me asking for help. She told me she was struggling to pay rent and she needed a few $1,000s for groceries and basic expenses. She asked if I could lend her the money until she gets back on her feet. I didn't even hesitate. I told her no. I reminded her she had no problem spending my money to spoil the man she was sleeping with behind my back. So why not go ask him for help? And that's when she admitted that the man she cheated on me with was long gone. He left her months ago. She's completely alone now. She tried to make me feel guilty, said she was desperate, said she didn't know where else to turn. I told her, this is what happens when you lie and cheat. You ruined the people who actually cared about you. Now deal with it. Then I blocked her again. I have peace now, and I'm not trading that for anyone. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.